Are you ready for some smart, plain talk on politics, Israel, and the law? It's the Andrew Parker Show. Let's roll. Welcome to another episode of the Andrew Parker Show. This is episode 470, and let's get right into it. I want to talk about President Donald J. Trump and Iran. Ceasefire. It seems to be the ceasefire du jour. Do you think that Iran is acting in good faith, is a party with integrity, credibility, where you can discuss things, get them on paper, and they will be followed? These terms of peace or of ceasefire will be followed. Will it ever be the case that Iran or other radical Islamist Muslims will follow and adhere to terms that they have agreed to? Well, one might say that in history we have seen that occur. For example, Egypt with Anwar Sadat, who signed a peace treaty with Israel that has lasted more than 40 years. Frankly, nearly 50 years. So that's an example. Now, was Anwar Sadat, were the Egyptians, who were horrific enemies of the state of Israel for many decades, tried to destroy the state of Israel, just like the Iranians, but they were pan-nationalists in Egypt. Nasser, the leader of Egypt for many, many years, was a pan-nationalist who believed in the greater Arab nation and world. But it wasn't so much based upon religious zealotry. And the current leader of Egypt, same. Al-Sisi, same. Not based on religious zealotry like the Muslim Brotherhood, which took charge of Egypt for a minute and a half and then were banned. In fact, they are a public enemy in Egypt still. So it's a different kind of party you're dealing with, kind of like, Mikhail Gorbachev was different than the religious zealot. He was evil. He was a communist who believed in the Soviet Union, and but he did a peace deal, and he didn't do it. He did it based upon what some might be able to call rational geopolitical thinking, just like the pan-nationalist Arabs who cut deals with Israel. Jordan, another example. But that's not Iran. Iran is led by a regime of radical Islamists who are genocidal, who are apocalyptic, who are suicidal, who love death, such to be called a death cult. That is who the leaders of Iran are. Death does not scare them. What does is losing the power and authority to follow the Quran in the twisted manner that they have interpreted it. And this religious zealotry has no ends, no bounds. So that's who Iran is. And what have they done over the years? Well, we've talked about that a number of times. I don't need to get into a lot of detail. You can find that online anywhere you want as well. They've killed thousands of Americans, thousands of others. They have sown discord everywhere they have gone, and certainly have done so in the Middle East, particularly through and with their proxies, carrying out the worst single-day massacre of Jews since World War II and the Holocaust on October 7th. But any other interference to peace that has occurred can be traced back to Iran. What would happen if this apocalyptic genocidal regime in Iran were removed, were destroyed? What would happen if a war were launched intended to be won with an unconditional surrender against this radical Islamist regime in Iran that treated its own people worse than we see in war, many examples over and over again? Treatment of women, the treatment of people who do not follow the precise religious tenets that they do. The killing of more than 45,000, the number is now counted at, of their own people for simply wanting freedom. And far worse over the 47 years, the decades that they have been in power in Iran. What would it be like if it were a free Iran in the Middle East, in surrounding countries? It could be the end of radical Islamic ideology. It could lead to peace deals throughout the region with many countries amongst one another and with the state of Israel. It could be real peace in a region that controls so much of the oil, something that we do not want to have Iran control. But in this region, it could be freed from that control. How does that happen? Through the launching of a war that is won. No compromises. For many different reasons, some of which I've already listed. This is not about a negotiation. This is about the end of radical Islamic ideology leading Iran and controlling the Straits of Hormuz, controlling ballistic missile systems, controlling the IRGC and the country's military, controlling all of the other weaponry of death that they have, as well as their proxies. All of that. And controlling the trigger to nuclear weapons, which they are close to, according to them, prior to this skirmish that has occurred. I shouldn't say. It's more than a skirmish. So Donald Trump launches this war. And now Donald Trump has called for a ceasefire, has said he is going to do so for 2 weeks. Why? Because a 10-point plan was issued that he said was workable. Well, with this plan, we can work on that. We can get to a deal. First off, a ceasefire that gets to a deal that results in this war with all the death and destruction that occurred was worth it because of the deal that we got. That would have to be a pretty darn good deal, especially when we are in a position to potentially change the region forever, not for 10 years, until they build back. Because believe me, they will. They will view this as a complete victory over the strongest military in the world. Why? Because they play the long game, these radical Islamists. They say, okay, you hit us. It's like Jerry Quarry, the boxer. He got pummeled to the point where nobody in the arena wanted him to get back up after he had fell for the 5th time, getting pummeled repeatedly, and he just kept getting back up. The radical Islamists, they say, yeah, you hit us hard, but we're still here, and we're getting back up. However long it takes, we're getting back up. And we'll do it right under your nose, or we'll do it hidden, or we'll do it both. And that's going to be allowed? We launched this war, and this is where it ends? These 10 points that were given, they were not a foundation for an actual deal that could be done. And Donald Trump had to know that. So what is he doing? Some people say, don't worry. The means might be strange. They might be outlandish. They might be, boisterous and loud, obnoxious. But in the end, it'll all work out well. I trust the president. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Because when you go into a war like this, when you actually launch an all-out war like this with the Israelis, you are doing it for one reason. We win, they lose. That's the end. That's the end game. There isn't shortcuts. There isn't detours. It's we win, they lose. And yes, there's going to be death and destruction horrifically. But this radical Islamist ideology needs to be removed by the people of Iran once we have created a foundation allowing them to do it. And if they decide not to do it, that's up to them. But we have not created a foundation allowing them to do it, and we need to get to that point. Aside from, and in addition to, removing all ballistic missile capability for the Iranians, removing all control over the Straits of Hormuz, removing all nuclear centrifuges, all of those things are a must. And they don't exist in the 10-point plan. In fact, the opposite do. On some of those points. So this concept, this idea of a ceasefire does not sound like Donald Trump to me, but he did it, and he owns it now. And now, a word from our sponsors. A record of success second to none. Parker Daniels Keyboard Law Firm, the numbers tell the story. The last 5 cases our lawyers have brought to trial have resulted in million and multi-million-dollar verdicts for our plaintiff clients and 0 defense verdicts for our defense clients. Put simply, we try cases and we win cases. Hi, I'm Andrew Parker. At Parker Daniels Keyboard, we take our work personally and we go the extra mile. That is why some of the biggest law firms, locally and nationally, send cases to us to handle when they can't. If you have a challenging and critically important business or personal legal dispute that must be favorably resolved, whether regarding a contract matter, a business divorce, a real estate dispute, an employment dispute, a civil rights or defamation matter, plain talk, if it's a big deal, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com. Looking to reduce your tax liability and grow your portfolio? Consider Texas-based Texacoma Resources. They have been delivering results for over 40 years in energy investments. Investors may benefit with strategic advantages like depreciation, depletion, and drilling, but should consult their tax advisors for their specific situation. Call True North Investment at 612-968-3442 to learn more. That's True North Investment, 612-968-3442. Texacoma Energy that works for you. It sounds like some of his advisors who, I don't know if he listens to them, when he listens to them and when he doesn't. I obviously wasn't in the room. But you could bet, you can tell who those advisors are that pulled the plug with no idea. This is why the U.S. is, it's effectively a laughingstock and cannot be relied upon. This whole deal leaves the Iranian people out to dry. And that is the most horrific, more horrific than bombing power plants or nuclear facilities or bridges or infrastructure, which is what Trump called out he had planned to do. Worse than that is what he has done to the Iranian people with this deal. It is horrific. It's an embarrassment to the United States as we sit here. We'll see. Maybe he'll save the day in the end. Maybe he'll use the conduct of the Iranians, which is to blatantly, overtly lie to his face, to the world's face, despite the fact that Western Europe will believe them no matter what they say. They're on the side of the Iranians. They are effectively on the side of the Iranians. The death cult. They're on the side of the death cult. They're on the side of evil and hate. The Western Europe. And by the way, the Democratic Party. What? Oh, that's bombastic, crazy talk. No, I am not going to just kind of soften the discussion when, in fact, what the Democratic Party is calling out in their confusing one statement one day, another statement another day. First, he's a warmonger. Then he calls for a ceasefire. That doesn't sound like a warmonger. And that's wrong. He shouldn't have done that. No, it's not just the confusing message. It's that the message is anti-American, pro-Iranian. That is the side that the Democratic Party and many of their spokespeople have taken. And it's not confusing. That is the side they've taken. They are hoping for a quagmire. They're hoping to be able to have in big print above the fold on every newspaper across the country, which, of course, the newspapers and the media will oblige, to have the words, again, in big print and bold, quagmire. And unfortunately, it looks like Trump is going to serve that up on a silver platter. Now, we'll see. Again, maybe he'll correct position. Maybe he's had this idea all along, a plan all along. that he's going to say ceasefire no matter what they write as the 10 points, only to come back in a few days and say they broke the ceasefire, now all hell's going to break loose. But one way or another, at the end of the day, the Iranian people have to be in a position to take their country back from this rogue regime that took it in 1979 by force. And there hasn't been an election of any credibility since that time. And it has been governed with an iron fist, with fear, and nothing else. Blood running in the streets. Ever since. So we need to create the environment for the Iranian people to be freed from this, which will lead to peace in the Middle East. Can you imagine? It will lead to the U.S. and other countries, including mostly Western Europe, but also others, even those who are our enemies, not to be held hostage by radical Islamists ever again as it relates to oil. And in addition to creating those conditions, ballistic missiles must be destroyed, the IRGC must be destroyed, the Iranian military must either turn or be destroyed, and the nuclear weapons capability and systems destroyed. If I didn't say ballistic missiles, of course, I intend to include that. That's a must. All those items are a must. Period. The Israelis don't want anything. They don't want any land. They don't want anything other than to live in peace. That's all they want. This isn't about Israel. Yes, they're one of our allies, but there are several other Arab countries, U.S. allies, who are being bombed and who will continue to live with the fear if these issues aren't resolved. And that is an important thing for the United States. But way more important for the United States, you don't even have to mention those other things, is protection of the homeland, is protection of Americans who travel around the world, who don't want to have this menace consistently causing them to have to look over their shoulder. When is the next bomb going to blow up in Paris or in London? Particularly now, in light of the fact that radical Islamists are spread all over Europe. So it is critical we win, they lose. Unconditional surrender. But that is not the direction that the president is taking. So what the heck did he bring this war on in the first place? And that's what Democrats are asking, and they have a right to ask that. What is Donald Trump doing? Why did he go to war in the first place? When what he's getting is nothing. Yeah, he harmed the regime. He killed 2-3 layers of leaders. So what? The next one will come on. The Iranian people need to take their country back. Need to have free and fair elections. Need to free women from the bondage that they have been in ever since these crazed radical Islamists, apocalyptic believers, have taken over. That's what must happen. And if Trump is going to get there, he's doing it through a pretty circuitous way. I, for one, have to say straight out, I side with the criticism of the Democrats. Some of it is crazy, loony, and it's also confusing and from all different sides. I know that they're going to beat up on Donald Trump no matter what, but a sober look at what Donald Trump is doing right now on this subject. Maybe I don't understand it. I don't know what he's doing. He's throwing curveballs, and I can't even see him. Maybe. All right. And when they come out from the darkness of night into the sunshine and we all can see it, it'll become clear. But until then, I'm confused. I don't agree with it, what it appears to be. It is bad foreign policy. And it does not take advantage of this particular moment in history. A unique moment in history. A unique moment to grab peace and to not let go until the conditions are clear. And the U.S. can do it. It can be done, as we have seen. Those are my thoughts on this supposed ceasefire. It may have never even come into reality, or if it did, it is going to just be fleeting. But at the end of the day, no matter what the Iranians say, you cannot trust them. Part of living for them is lying. That has been proven time and time and time again. Obama never understood that. Biden never understood that at all. I don't even think Hillary Clinton does. We're at a very dangerous time now. And why Donald Trump drove into this dead end, I don't know. But we'll see what sort of Houdini move he has to get out of it. We will see. I don't believe he has it. I hope I'm wrong. Thank you very much for joining us on the Andrew Parker Show. Go to theandrewparkershow.com. That is theandrewparkershow.com. Subscribe. You can listen to any or all of our 470-plus episodes of the show. Some great guests over the years and some interesting topics and discussions. Until next time, be kind to your neighbor. For more Smart Plain Talk, go to theandrewparkershow.com. Learn about all of your listening and viewing options. And remember, all the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, hope. This episode of The Andrew Parker Show is sponsored by Parker Daniels Keyboard and True North Private Investments.
Did your employer make you sign a promissory note when joining the company, and now you want to leave, but you're afraid your firm will pursue you personally for that debt? This is Jesse Keyboard from the law firm Parker Daniels Keyboard. I recently represented a client who had signed such a note, and I was able to get them out of their $500,000 debt to their company, which allowed them the freedom to exit a bad employment situation and enter a much better one. Meeting our clients' objectives is our focus at Parker Daniels Keyboard, and in this regard, we win. Our experienced trial team of lawyers at Parker Daniels Keyboard have secured major victories in state and federal courts across the country and through arbitration. We have the legal expertise in all types of business disputes, labor and employment matters, real estate matters, shareholder disputes, financial transactions, security issues, and appeals. For wise counsel, winning results, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard, a premier litigation law firm that provides efficient, aggressive, and innovative solutions to complex legal problems. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com.
Looking to reduce your tax liability and grow your portfolio? Consider Texas-based Texacoma Resources. They have been delivering results for over 40 years in energy investments. Investors may benefit with strategic advantages like depreciation, depletion, and drilling, but should consult their tax advisors for their specific situation. Call True North Investment at 612-968-3442 to learn more. That's True North Investment, 612-968-3442. Texacoma Energy that works for you.